for coming out today, guys. Today we are observing World Arthritis Day, which is actually the 12th, which is tomorrow. And just scheduling fun, we wound up doing it today. So my name is Genoa Wilson. I'm the Arthritis Foundation part of this equation, and I also work at NaturTyme too. So it's kind of a love situation. I work 1 or 2 days on the weekends, so it's like part-time here and part-time there, and it all kind of comes together. So, and this is Laurel, who will be talking more about inflammation and dietary stuff. First of all, nobody here has arthritis, right? No. So, did you know there are over 100 different forms of arthritis? Over 100 different forms. They include some of the following. Osteo. Anybody heard of that one? Yeah. That's a very common form. Rheumatoid arthritis. Some folks, oh yeah. Lupus is considered a form of arthritis, as is fibromyalgia. Psoriatic arthritis involves the skin as well as the joints. Ankylosing spondylitis, that's a fun one to say. It took me a few years to figure that one out. Sjorgen's syndrome, which also involves like the mouth and the eyes. Raynaud's phenomenon too. Anybody heard of that one? It's not only affects the joints, but it infects the extremities, the hands in particular. So there are numerous different types of ailments that are included under the arthritis umbrella. And probably osteo is the most common form. And anybody have osteoarthritis, right? And the reason it's the most common is that it is the wear and tear arthritis. It's the kind that, if, say, you have a job where you do this for 40 years, and it can literally wear out the cartilage in your joint. It can actually wear it away. Let's say you have a skiing accident in your 20s, or a car accident, and years later you can wind up with arthritis and not even realize that something that happened 20, 30, 40 years ago could be the cause of that. So cause and effect. We're looking at what causes arthritis. And in fact, I was chatting briefly with somebody a little bit ago about, is it hereditary? Is it environmental? Yes, it is all of the above. Some people have more of a tendency to develop arthritis. If your family members have it, if you have a family history of arthritis, for some people, they may come up with arthritis, but it's very common for people who come from a family full of arthritis to be fine. You just never know. Environmental factors, lifestyle factors definitely play a key role in this too. So we're going to look at some of that today. And between the two different types of arthritis in particular, there's the wear and tear, which we kind of covered briefly. In fact, let me tell you a story about that. My husband, when he was in high school, dove out of a moving car, landed on his hip, and now he's approaching 60, and guess what? He has arthritis in his hip. So he didn't realize it, but I was like, well, do you think there might be a connection? So also did a lot of skiing. So environmental factors, accidents, wear and tear can contribute. But there's also other forms of arthritis, like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis in particular, that tend to be a little more insidious, where it's an autoimmune disorder, where your body, for some reason, decides that healthy living tissue is a foreign invader, and goes on the attack. And your immune system will attack healthy living tissue, the lining of the joints, and sometimes even internal organs can be affected by rheumatoid arthritis. This is the most tricky one because they're still trying to figure out why this happens. And there's a lot of research being done on that. We haven't got the magic bullet yet. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time developing research to try to figure out a cure for all sorts of arthritis. So while we're working on that, we're doing everything we can to improve people's lives who have arthritis. Quality of life can be a huge issue. So there are some guidelines for the arthritis types that are autoimmune. And that is, it's really, really, really important for you to get a diagnosis as early as possible. Because the bulk of the joint damage for rheumatoid and other autoimmune arthritis types happens in the first few months to the first few years. That's the huge decline, and then it levels off. So if anybody has an inkling that they might have rheumatoid arthritis, it's really a good idea to get checked out by a rheumatologist. And there are a lot of biologics they're dealing with it, and every year there's new stuff to help with protecting joint damage and improving quality of life. So the sooner you get a diagnosis, the better off you're going to be. And a rheumatologist is your best bet for that. So how do you find out if you have rheumatoid arthritis? There's a blood test. There is that combined with x-rays will often provide the necessary information for your rheumatologist to discern whether you have that. However, it's not uncommon for people to have false negatives. So if your symptoms persist, it's a good idea to be aggressive and get back until you get some really good answers. So I always want to put that out there, that to protect yourself, it's a real good idea to be aggressive in getting a diagnosis and getting an accurate one. So arthritis, the big picture, arthritis. What are some of the symptoms of arthritis? Anybody's? Symptoms. Yep. Pain. That's always number one, right? You know. Yep. What else? Anybody's? Pain, ache, swelling, stiffness. Good. Yep. Fatigue. Anything else come to mind? All fun stuff, right? Anything else? Oh, okay. So these are a lot of the physical symptoms that we're going to talk about today. So for pain, what can you do about it? I'm asking you. Yay, who said that? Gold star. Exercise, exercise, exercise. And you probably knew that I was going to talk about this a little bit because somewhere in there it said covering arthritis and physical activity. So exercise, probably one of the best things you can do for your joints if you have arthritis. Now, the thing about exercise is that sometimes it may seem counterintuitive to exercise when your joints hurt, right? You think, eh? Here's the deal. A long time ago, the prevailing theory was if your joint is inflamed and stiff and having, redness, swelling, pain, don't move it, protect it, splint it, keep it still. And over time, what they found was that those joints lost muscle mass, lost conditioning, and completely lost range of motion. So they were able to do much, much, much less when they were doing much less. So things like being able to reach up on top of the fridge to get your teapot out, being able to pick up your dog or your 2-year-old granddaughter, they couldn't do it. Turning her head to, back out of your driveway, couldn't do it. And their lives shrank. So thank goodness those days are over, right? We have discovered that increasing range of motion, even though there's stiffness, even though there's inflammation, helps to protect your joints. When you move your joints through their entire range of motion, here's an example of one. This is in the shoulder area. You're rotating it as far as it goes in each direction comfortably. Everybody reach your arms out and try that with me. What this does is it strengthens the muscles that support that joint. It also encourages your joint to keep that range of motion available to you. Things like opening doors, called activities of daily living. We need to be able to do those. When your joints are also worked through that range of motion, that encourages the synovium, which is the lining of the joint capsule, to secrete more synovial fluid. That synovial fluid is like the motor oil in your car, and it's slippery and lubricating like egg white. And when there's more of it, it cushions, it lubricates, and it makes your joint work better. So if you don't use your joints through a range of motion exercise, there's less synovial fluid. It becomes thicker, more crystally, and therefore your joint doesn't feel as good. So even though it seems counterintuitive to exercise when your joints have arthritis and they're stiff and sore, careful and thoughtful exercise is actually beneficial. Now, when you're having a rough day, you want to do a little less, obviously. You adjust the amount of exercise for your symptoms, but you try to keep moving. And that, over time, helps. So, range of motion, it's the old use it or lose it. Again, things like being able to back out of your driveway. So, sitting up in your chairs with your shoulders forward, keep your neck long. We're going to do another exercise. This I do call the backing out of the driveway exercise. Looking over your shoulder as far as you can for a brief moment, and bring your head back to the center position and go the other way. Gliding around soft and easy, and bring it around to the front. That's one of my favorite exercises. So I know a lady in my class likes that one too. Same thing, you can do that when you're watching TV. Things that you can do that you can incorporate into your daily activities are a wonderful thing. Of course, you might miss what Dr. Oz is saying, but maybe wait for the commercial. But another one I can show you for the sitting down, again, range of motion. Everybody stick out a foot straight out in front of you. Holding the legs still, we're going to just circle your ankle. This is a great way to work on flexibility and strength. Again, range of motion, because arthritis can be anywhere. It can be reverse your ankle, circle the other way, and now we don't want to walk lopsided, so we got to set it down and do the other side. Stretch the leg out straight and circle just the ankle. Incorporating movement into your, see, she's even doing it in cowboy boots. I love it. And reverse your circle. This is a great one to do also if you're on a long airplane trip. It helps protect your veins from that deep vein thrombosis that can kind of sometimes crop up when you're so still for so long. So keep that in your arsenal anytime you're going on a long plane trip. Since we're still sitting down, I'm sitting here with you. The other thing we're going to talk about is strength. And strength is so important. We touched on this a little bit we're going to go into a little more detail. So we covered range of motion regarding exercise and arthritis. We're going to talk about the strengthening part. And again, the stronger your muscles are, the less work your joints have to do, the less your joints have to carry your weight around. It's your muscles' job, not your joints. Your joints are there to flex, to move you through this world. Your joints and your muscles work as a team, but your muscles should be doing the bulk of the work. If you become deconditioned, your joints end up taking up a lot of their job. So we were sitting down, and when you stretch your legs straight, you're working this top thigh muscle group, the quadriceps. If you can just do this much a few times a day, hold it for a few seconds, tightening these guys up, that's going to be a big help for your knees. The stronger this muscle group is, the more it takes the weight and the pressure off your knees. That's not the only ones. The backs of the legs, these are the hamstrings, your gluteus, your seat muscles, and your abdominals. These are the muscle groups that protect the hips and the knees. And I bet a lot of us have arthritis in our hips and knees, right? That's one of the main, you can't, and of course hands too. We'll get to that in a minute. It's hard to get through this world without using your hips and your knees, right? I mean, it's just what we do. So, anybody here had back pain? It's the worst, isn't it? If you have back pain and you let your muscles in front become deconditioned, guess who gets to do all the work? And that is your spine. So if you can strengthen the abdominal muscles, it does the work, and it takes the pressure off your spine. They don't call this the pelvic girdle for nothing. Besides, you want your internal organs back tucked in here where you can keep an eye on them. You don't want them running loose in the world, right? Let's just keep them back here. So, still sitting in your chair, the best thing you can do to support your spine is to develop these. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull our stomach muscles back, flatten them up against the back of the chair, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And it's like you're making a fist with your stomach muscles. And then just relax. And then breathe, because it's hard to breathe when you're doing that. A couple more times. You just pull back and tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up. It's like somebody has a lasso around your waist and they're just pulling right back. You want to put your belly button, okay, relax. Everybody's like, turning blue. You want to button your belly button against the back of the chair, just like your spine isn't even there in the way. And strengthen by tightening up. That supports your spine. Very, very important. And these are the little things you can do when you're sitting at a red light, when you're watching TV. So, strengthening is extremely important. For the back of the legs, the hamstring muscles, this is something that will get you up in a little bit. But just bending the knee and straightening tightens these guys up, strengthens these guys. Because we work the front of our body a lot, a little more tough to work the back of the body. So that's another thing you can do to strengthen the hamstring muscles. So strength makes it easier on your joints. So range of motion and strengthening. The other thing is we want to work on flexibility. Because you know what? When you have arthritis and it hurts and you feel cruddy and there's inflammation, it's real easy to let your body tighten up. And your shoulders are up and you get tense. Stress plays a definite role in that. So stretching helps release that tension in your muscles, not only in your muscles, but in your spirit too. It's psychological. It's all connected. When you're tense, when you have a tense body, you can have a tense mind. It's connected. It kind of loops in together. So the more you can relax psychologically, and we'll get to that in a minute. How am I doing? Okay, we're not running out of time yet. The more you can relax psychologically, the more you can relax physically. The more you can relax physically, the more you can relax psychologically. You can relax, my yoga teacher says. Calm and balance the body so that we can calm and balance the mind. It's connected. We found that out. It's official. So any stretching you can do is beneficial. You don't need to be able to touch your toes. I'm here to tell you that right now. Starting from what you can do, just a simple stretch. So calf muscle stretch is a great one. Putting the heel on the floor behind you and stretching out the calf muscles. Stretching the arms. Any stretching that is comfortable for you is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And finally, the last little piece of this we're going to talk about is cardiovascular. So what does that really mean, cardiovascular? Anybody? Yes, heart, lungs. Good. Because those are muscles too. Their job is to deliver nutrients and oxygen to all of your tissues. And the more you have nutrients and oxygen in your tissues, the better they're going to work for you. And that goes for your joints as well. So you don't have to run a 5K, although she has. I saw her once. If you can, that's great. If you can't, that's fine. There are a lot of different things you can do that help develop cardiovascular strength, help you build up your endurance over time. Anybody here use an exercise bike? Wonderful way to do it. Yep. Swimming, aquatic stuff is great. Walking, just good old-fashioned walking. Yep. Any of that stuff. Here's the key. Here's the key to exercise. If it isn't fun, are you going to do it? No. If it feels like work, you're probably not going to want to do it. So, here's the trick. You need to find something that is a good fit for you. Everybody's different. So, walking is great, but maybe it's not for you. Aquatics is wonderful. Some people don't like all of the rigmarole of changing and everything. Lots of different exercise classes out there. So you got to kind of get creative in figuring out what is a good fit for you. Another way to help get you motivated to just be active and incorporate a lot of movement into your day and into your life is having a buddy system. If you're taking a class with a friend and you might feel like, oh, I don't want to go, I'll just stay home and watch Oprah, but somebody's waiting for you at the mall to walk or waiting to go to a class with you, you're a little more likely to get out of your rut and get moving and get going and then feel really glad that you did. So anybody here have a dog that needs to be walked on a regular basis besides me? Yup. So that's a great way to do it too. Having a dog who's like, I gotta go. Will get you out of your rut and get you moving. So having that buddy system, whatever it is a great way to motivate you to get moving. Because it has to be your style. And what works for me might not work for you. That's just the way it is. We finally discovered that people are different. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, in fact, so much so that the Arthritis Foundation, like 10 or 15, 20 years ago when they were first, starting to do more regular knee replacement surgeries, the same knee was going into a 170-pound man that was going into a 120 or 110-pound woman. They finally figured out that men and women carry their weight differently, and there are different knees. Isn't that great? So that's good news. We're refining it, and we're getting better at it, and we're learning more as we go. And that's all of us. That's for you guys, too. Figuring out what works and going with it. And finding a way to support your goal of being active, because that is one of the best things you can do to help yourself if you have arthritis. And taking charge of your of your life and your symptoms. So I'm going to teach you a few more exercises just because it's fun. And anybody here have arthritis in their hands? Yeah, me too. This is just recent, so I'm like, what? Exercises for your hands. Bring your hands on up. Yep, you got to put your pens and your pads down. Circle just your thumbs. And then circle those thumbs the other way. Good, good, good. Now, with the very end of your index finger, press tight to your thumb, making a round circle, and give it a really good push. Almost so much that you put an indent of your nail into the end of your thumb, and then pull way back. And then same thing with the middle finger, making a round shape. Make sure it's not a teardrop shape, but that it's completely round. That gives you the opportunity to articulate each and every joint, pressing tight and pull way back. And now the ring finger, press tight, round circle, and pull way back. And the pinky finger, press tight to your thumb and pull it way back. That was so much fun. Let's do it again. Index finger, press tight, making a round circle and pull it way back. Middle finger, pressing tight, making a round shape, pull it way back. Ring finger, press tight, making a round circle and pull it way back. Good. And last time, pinky pressing tight and pull it way back. Keeping the palms open. We're going to curl the fingers into a 10-step claw. And we're stretching like a glove being inflated. And curl into a 10-step claw. And stretch, 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 stretch. And once more, curl those fingers into a 10-step claw. And stretch, 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 stretch. Good. Shake your hands. Did you feel it? That's a wonderful, wonderful thing you can do for yourself. If you have arthritis in your hands, I've had so many people tell me that just those simple things have helped them a lot with arthritis of the hands. Because you cannot get through this a day without using your hands. You have to use them. Opening doors, opening cans, opening dog food, you know, all the stuff you got to do. All right. We're going to go back and talk a little bit about some of the other things that you can do to help yourself if you have arthritis. When you're having a really bad day, and, you know, because as everybody knows here, there are days and there are days, right? Sometimes the weather affects it. Sometimes you overdo it. You had to go to your daughter's wedding. You had to, you had to move. You had to help somebody move. It just happens. And then sometimes it happens and you don't even know why. It just happens. Life with arthritis can be like being on a roller coaster. You just never know. So there are a few tricks to get you through a rough patch. One of the things is called, and I forgot because my brain is hurting, Laurel and we're blaming our school children for our sore throats, so we've got the grade school crud here. That's what it is, distraction. So finding a way to get your mind off your pain is a really good trick. Here's how you do it. I mean, excuse me, different things work for different people. Let's say you have to vacuum because somebody important's coming over and it's been a while. So here you are, you're vacuuming, zoom, zoom, zoom. Rather than thinking about how much your knees or your hips or your hand might be hurting, you can think about vacuuming, say, the United States. Start up in Oregon, Washington, down to California, across to Nevada, up to whatever is above that, I forget. But working through, not only does it make you creative, it makes you smarter. So you can remember, hey, what is that up beside Wyoming? I forget, but something like that. If you have to go up and down stairs. Excuse me. If you like birds, for each step you take, you can think of a bird. Robin, blue jay, oriole. If you like flowers, think of a flower. It's just like the trick, the old-timey trick of laying in bed counting sheep. You're thinking about those sheep instead of thinking about, why am I not asleep? Why am I not asleep? Why am I not asleep? and getting more and more stressed out about it. Distraction. It's a wonderful technique. And, try it sometime if you're in a pinch and you just got to get something done and you're, not feeling that great, because sometimes it happens. So another thing that is important, too, to remember is that none of us can do everything we did when we were 20. And you need to forgive yourself for that. And a lot of us really have extremely high standards for ourselves, don't we? Yeah. So allow yourself to take a few more breaks. Even if you don't have arthritis, as we get older, we can't do as much stuff as we could when we were 20. Break up your activities. Don't plant 20 flats of bedding plants in one day. Don't rake the whole yard in one day. It'll all be down the next day anyway, but break it up. I have a knitting book, in fact, that says put an egg timer across the room and set it for 20 minutes. Here's my knitter right here. And because your hands, if you do knitting or crocheting or crafts or anything that you use your hands a lot and they get a little crimped up, when that timer goes off, you set down your knitting, you get up, so I'm not going to make you do this, I promise. You get up and you walk across the room and you do some hand stretches. And you kind of, move your arms and move your legs and you reset the timer and then you go back and you get back to it. But breaking it up. Don't do the same types of activities for an extended period of time. And that's something you need to do to protect your joints and protect your energy. So protecting your joints. I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works. Think about lining your joints up. Toes, knees, hips. When you're going through a door, when you're getting in and out of a car, you don't want to inadvertently get in a situation where your toes going there and your knees going here and your hip goes here. And it can happen very easily going through a turnstile, going through a door, getting in and out of cars, grabbing groceries to put in the car or whatever. Make sure that you line your joints up. Toes, knees, hip bones, shoulders. Everything goes together. My Tai Chi people are laughing. I teach the Arthritis Foundation Tai Chi program, and we talk a lot about making sure everything's lined up in your life. Lining up your joints protects them. Do you need to develop that awareness of how you move through the world and how that affects your joints and how your body mechanically is set up. It's a beautiful design. Knees are really only supposed to go forward and back. That's all they do. They're a hinge. They can't do this. They really shouldn't do that. Straight forward and straight back. Keep remembering that as you go through your day and as you go through your life, that you want to keep your joints aligned properly. That's going to protect them a lot and save a lot of grief for your joints and your muscles too. So let me give you a demonstration here. Let's say you've been to the grocery store. My hip purse is plenty heavy, so this should work good. How am I doing? Okay, we've got about 10 minutes. This is good. So you've got something heavy. You've got your plastic bag here. Look what this does to your hands. And then you get like 4 or 5 on each hand, and you're like, ugh. So rather than using the little plastic bags and using these small joints, you've got weight on your fingers, you've got weight on your wrists and your elbows, and then your shoulder is trying to compensate. Here's something else you can do. I made sure I got a NaturTyme bag. I almost grabbed it in the bag. I was like, uh-oh, I can't do that. If you can just ask for paper instead of plastic, and you've got something heavy, hold it against your body, allowing the larger joints to bear the weight. So you've got these guys. These are strong, sturdy joints, rather than crimping up here. Nothing is crimped. Everything is pulled in. And again, of course, if you use this to support yourself, it takes a lot of pressure off your joints. So just simple things like that, thinking about how you do just sort of the daily activities, making it joint-friendly. It's just a wonderful thing. So there are other things I'm going to briefly touch on, things that you can do to help with pain. Let me see if any of you guys can think of them. Anything else that you guys can think of that you have done to help with pain that is not, besides like medication, which everybody knows about, which sometimes, in a pinch, it'll get you through a rough patch. So I am not adverse at all to a little medication now and then. Any other things besides that anyone can think of? Yes. Meditation. Beautiful. I'm going to write that down. Yep. Meditation or prayer. Just going to a quiet place, and that can help. Anybody else? What else works? Yep. Beautiful. Yep. Mm-hmm. Deep breathing. Good. I like to hear that. Yep. You oxygenate your tissues, and you get that relaxation response. So.
You talked about holding your.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in line, waiting in line, people are just I do that, so I pay attention. So it's like I was trying to get to the end of the line and come to the next.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. That's a great idea. Yet another creative way to distract yourself and work a little bit of, strengthening into what would otherwise be kind of a frustrating situation that we've all been in. And there you go. Yeah. Go ahead. Yes. Yeah. That's a great one. And in fact, in the Arthritis Foundation exercise classes that we have, we use those. So, yeah. Squeezing, and besides, if you're mad at somebody, you can be their head. Yeah. Go ahead and holler it out. What else? Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a good idea. Tai Chi is an ancient Chinese form of movement that is very, very slow and incorporates breathing and has a considerable amount of material that you just keep adding on to over time so that you have a large body of movement. It's almost like if you're working on a dance. And it is great for balance and strengthening. It's good for joint mobility, and it's very, that deep breathing kind of kicks in that relaxation response, which is a really nice thing for a lot of us. So I've got about 5 more minutes. Okay, couple more. Yes. Good. Yes. Great. Yep. Yeah, good. With the homeopathics, I think Rhus tox is the one that's more specific for arthritis. Yep. Rhus tox. But there are actually, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit more later, there are a few different combinations of ingredients that are specific for arthritis that they have here that are topical as well as internal. Let's see, somebody said massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, stuff like that, yeah. Oh, and the thing about that too, different things appeal to different people. And my boss, who recently retired, has had a couple of hip replacements and swears by acupuncture. My mom did it, didn't touch it for her. So, for her it was more, she went in for her back and it didn't help her back at all, but it really helped her sinuses, so you never know. Chiropractic for some people. Yep. Yep. Reiki. This is a fun crowd. People in some of the senior centers and stuff where I talk, rarely bring this stuff up. I have to kind of go, and they go, really? So, this is a fun crowd. All right, couple of things I want to touch on. Ice and heat. Anybody use that? Yeah. Sometimes if you can do ice and heat one after another, the heat can kind of draw the blood supply into the joint, and then the ice contracts it, so that kind of almost has a flushing effect of removing, not in a huge way, but in a small way, removing toxins, improving the blood flow. But the thing to remember, too, some people prefer ice, some people just heat. Depends on your personal preference. But don't do either for more than about 20 minutes or so, because it can actually damage the tissue. You just want to be real careful and aware. You don't want to fall asleep on your heating pad. Just be aware. So I'm wanting to make sure, I'm trying to wrap it up here. A couple of things I want to, that's Laurel's department. And I'm going to be turning it over to her briefly. One more thing I want to talk about real quick before I turn it over is communicating with your healthcare professional. When you go to your doctor and you're talking to them about your arthritis symptoms, it's real important to be as specific as you can be, which means tell them exactly what this limits you to. I can't pick up my granddaughter. I can't reach up to get the teapot off the top of the refrigerator. I can't get my shoe on. Some people can't even get their shoes tied. It can be really tough. You get those little twirly shoe tie things, but still, giving them a perfect example, like a snapshot picture of how this is affecting you, rather than saying, well, it hurts and it kind of gets stiff. That doesn't help them address your symptoms. You need to be your own best advocate. If you can, bring somebody with you into the room. Have them take notes. You take notes. Because you get this much time with your doctor, right? And within a minute or two, that doctor's mind is heading into the next room. So you need to be succinct. And you also need to be persistent. Because if something that you are being prescribed for pain or inflammation isn't working for you, if it makes you sick, if it makes you tired, you need to go back and find something that works for you. That's their job, to help you. Some people will just, I don't want to be a bother, and they will put it in a drawer and tuck it away, and they won't get the help they need. That's their job, to help you. They want to help you, believe it or not. So you got to make it easy on them by making a list. Bring it in with you. Bring somebody else in. Take notes. Because a lot of times the doctor whisks out of the room and you just go, what the heck just happened? What did he just say? What did she just say? I don't even know. It's over like that, and it can be a little disarming. So be persistent in getting the results you need, because what works for your sister may not work for you, and everybody's different. So, and you are your own best advocate. So I am going to show you a couple of things that I brought with me that you can get at the end of the talk. We'll probably let you out early for good behavior, so we don't want to keep you the whole 2 hours. This, there's that tickle again. This is a list of all of the brochures on arthritis that you can order from our headquarters in Rochester. I don't have them here in Syracuse, but if you call the 1-800 number here, they will send you up to 5 brochures free of charge. So there's really, really good information on these, not only on some of the specific forms of arthritis and some of the lesser-known forms, but on treatment, on lifestyle, managing your fatigue, managing stress, nutrition and arthritis, walking guide, all kinds of fun stuff. Please feel free afterwards to come up and grab one of these. For a lot of people, Aquatics is a great way to move in the warm water pools that we have through the Arthritis Foundation. This is a list of our aquatics programs. We keep the temperature relatively warm, which increases blood flow to the area. You've got that resistance, and a lot of people get some pretty good pain relief and improved mobility from the Aquatics program. So if you're interested, you can grab one of these. This is actually a little brochure specifically on stress as it relates to arthritis, but I'll tell you up front, it's also a bid to join the Arthritis Foundation. So, just so you know, because they're kind of sneak that in there. But if you do join, it's $20 a year, and you get a wonderful magazine with it. So there's this, if you're interested. And the last thing is, our Jingle Bell Run is coming up. It's a fundraiser for the Arthritis Foundation, and the bulk of the money that comes in goes to research. So if you're interested, it's up in Liverpool on the Sunday before Thanksgiving. If you're interested, it's a run or a walk. It's a 5K. So people dress up in Santa suits and silly Christmas tree outfits, and it's a really fun time. So, and finally, if you have any questions, if you think of them later, here's my card. So you can take that too, and you can call me. I work very part-time. It's just like Monday through Thursday, 8:30 to 1:30, but you can call me if you think of anything, if you have any questions, you can call me. So any questions on just the stuff we covered? Yes. I do. Yes, I do. Yep. It's at the Fayetteville Senior Center. We're about halfway through the current beginner class, and then we'll be starting one up after the first of the year. There's also a class through Health Links too. Which is actually at the, where is it? That way. Syracuse site, the Tel-Energy building where the Oasis and Health Links all live. I do that through Health Links too, which is nice because they're a really great organization. So, Health Links, if you call, you could call me, or you can call Oasis and they'll send you a catalog. Yeah, that you can look them up online or in the phone book. And it's just classes, all kinds of classes for seniors, and then they can send you a catalog and then you sign up there. But we're about halfway through the 8-week session, and we'll start a new session after, probably in January. Yes, ma'am. There's a class through Oasis at the Liverpool Library. Oh, okay, great. So yeah, Cheryl DeMarco. Yeah, she's one of my instructors. Great. Cicero. There's an aquatics class at Champions Fitness in Cicero. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And it's hard finding sites and instructors who can get up there. Yeah, the furthest north we have for right now is just the Liverpool Library exercise class. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
On the hand exercise,
yes.
you were talking about doing, is there a hold time on that?
A second or two. I do like to do a little bit of a hold. Yep. All right, everybody. Let's. I want to have you stand up, just because I don't want anyone to melt, because you've been. And we're going to do a couple more movement things just to kind of do some stretching before I turn you over to Laurel here. With your feet in about a hip-width stance, soften your knees a little bit, and locate your heels. Put your hip bones over your heels. Put your shoulders over your hip bones, and put your earlobes over your shoulders, lining up your joints, heels, hip bones, shoulders, and earlobes. Take a big breath in, raising your hands as high as is comfortable. And with the palms facing down, breathe out and lower them down. Now, if it hurts your shoulder to go all the way up, only go part way up. Only do what is comfortable for you. That's the other thing about arthritis and exercise. You know what is working for you and nobody else. Breathe out. And one more. Yee, I feel like I'm in a strobe light. Breathe in. And breathe out. Relax your arms by your sides. And circle your shoulders up and back. So you've been sitting for a long time, so I'm going to make you move around a little bit. Or you have to sit for some more. Great. Relax them down and bring your knees up one after another. Oof, I feel that. Hips and knees. Only as far as is comfortable. Remember, you need to adapt it for your needs and what works for you. Good. All right, shake your legs out. And bring your shoulders up with the breath in. And release them. Breathe out. Oh, yeah, let's do that again. Breathe in. And breathe out. And let's do one more. Shoulders up. Breathe in. And breathe out. Great. Stretch your arms out. Don't whack your neighbor. Put one hand on one shoulder and one hand on the other shoulder and give yourselves a big hug. Yay! And relax. Good. All right, Laurel.
Dim these lights so you can see it better. Is that okay for everybody? Good? Okay. I'm glad you had them do exercises in between. I was going to have you do that because I know sitting there for a long time, especially for this talk, right?
Yeah.
And I can vouch for a lot of stuff that Genoa said. I was a runner for many years and didn't really do the necessary things that I should have along with running. I would just run. A lot of times I would actually do the stretching. Once I had my daughter, as far as in between breastfeedings, I would get out there and I would go for the half-hour run, and then I'd want to get back in real quickly, so I would skip my stretching, and I noticed that there were a lot of issues that came down the road when I wasn't doing my stretching. And then on top of that, with doing continuous running, which is overusing the quadriceps, and in women too, as Genoa was talking about with the hips and the knees and the legs and the alignment, women tend to have more of a wider stance here with the hips wider and the knees going in, so we're really not built for running all that much. And obviously for the reasons of it's not that great on your joints as well. But if you are doing all the right supportive things, which is strength training, the opposite muscles, you always need those opposing muscles. And that would be your hamstrings, supporting that, strengthening them, stretching them, as well as strengthening and stretching the quadriceps. And for me, I started running, well, I did it in high school, not very much though, and over the years I picked it up. But when I went in for a heel test and on a fluke, I just had it done to test my bone density, and it came up to be osteopenic at age 30. And I grew up in a dairy farm. I had lots of milk. Why? What's the reasons? I was very physically active. So they couldn't figure out why. They just figured, the last endocrinologist I saw said you probably came into it with a low bone store. And I tend to think because of where we live, I wasn't a sun worshiper. The milk that I had was not a fortified D. It was right off of the farm. So it didn't have the D and the extra nutrients in there to help pull that calcium. I was just getting calcium. But also with milk, and I'm not downplaying or making it be a bad thing, because milk is good in some aspects, but it's actually acidic on the body, and it's also higher in phosphorus. And when your body's acidic and it has too much of the phosphorus, it pulls out calcium from the stores to try to alkalize the rest of the blood. So, it's kind of a which is better, what is doing what. So I don't know the reasons why it happened to me, but I had my doctor say to me, what you should do is you should start running. So I said, okay. So I just started running, and wasn't really doing all the other things, like I said, that you need supportive-wise, which is strength training, the rest of the core. And it did help me because growing up I used to get muscle spasms too in my back. And so when I started running, it strengthened all my core muscles. It strengthened my hip flexors. It strengthened the glutes in the back. So everything was supported. So my back pain went right out the window, especially if I was stretching. That was really beneficial. But then, fast forward up until a year ago, and all of a sudden I was getting this knee pain radiating around my kneecap, and went to the doctor. And I remember she was 4-year-old at the time, came in with me, and he said, well, what's going on? And my daughter said, Mommy's knee goes when she's walking up and down the stairs. And he said, oh, yeah, I think I probably know what that is. So we went in for the x-rays and looked at it, and he said, you don't have arthritis, but, well, before that, what he did was he had me lay down on the table, and he pushed on my kneecap, and he said, tighten up your quadricep. And I had no idea what he was doing. My daughter was doing something, so I was paying attention to her. And as he was pushing down, I tightened it up. I about flipped right off the table with the pain. I said, what did you just do? And he said, all I did was push down on your kneecap, and he said it just graded over. Instead of gliding over nicely, he said it was just grading not the right way. It wasn't gliding up and down. He said it was going back and forth, so it was unstable. So they didn't find arthritis, but I'm sure probably I will get it in that knee. But the cartilage is severely broken down in there, so I'm doing some things to deal with that. And I was told by my physical therapist, stop with the running, go to biking, other things. And I should have done more of that is my point of all this. All along the way, I should have done a lot of cross-training, a lot of other things with the stretching and the Tai Chi and the yoga and the Pilates, stuff like that I love, but I just never did it because it was easy enough to just, if you talk to anybody who runs, to you put on the sneakers, anywhere you go. I was working for a company traveling. I could just bring the sneakers in, just go wherever I was. I didn't have to worry about I don't like to be in gyms. I don't like to do tapes in my house. I like to be outside. Again, I grew up on the farm, so a lot of the activity was outside. And so now what I've switched over to doing is cycling outside. And then in the winter, I snowshoe and I cross-country ski. So I'm varying things up now, but it was quite a transition to get into that. And hopefully I'm going to get back into doing some of the sprint triathlons that I like to do, which that's all cross-training. That's the swimming, running, cycling. So I understand the plight, and even at my age, I've been dealing with a knee issue since I was about 35. So it's just really being aware and doing all the other things, like what Genoa was saying, as far as taking care of opposing muscles and stretching and strengthening. Okay, so Genoa got a lot into what arthritis is, but it is inflammation. Inflammation also is an infection. Inflammation also relates to a lot of other diseases. Disease, the word, if you break it down, dis-ease. It's dis-ease in the body. And a lot of these go back to inflammation. So a lot of them are linked to that, such as cancers, heart diseases, diabetes, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, Alzheimer's, psoriasis, eczema, like you were saying before, that these are all linked together. The body, it's interesting when I have clients come in and they say, well, I have a rheumatologist, I have this heart doctor, I have this, and I said, okay, so is anybody talking to anybody to know what's going on? Because your body isn't sectioned off in all these sections like, let's just take care of this over here. It's all working together. It's mind, body, spirit, everything. So they need to be talking to each other, and if they're not, which I find is usually the case, you need to be the advocate to go in and say, listen, you need to know what this one's doing and this one's doing, and I think this is affecting this. And if you have questions on things like that, this is where I help people as well. So causes of inflammation, a lot of them. Chronic inflammation begins usually at the cellular level. Has anybody heard of free radicals and what they are? Okay. So these are called reactive oxidative species, ROSs. What it is oxidation. It's oxidizing the cells, making them age, and like what would be if you took a nail and it oxidizes, it gets the rusting. So it's the rusting of our cells. There are reactive oxidative species, which are the free radicals that are created from a lot of different things, from ultraviolet rays, from breaking down of foods, a variety of things. And what they do is they have an electrolyte in them, or in their whole chemical makeup, they have extra things that they want to go to another cell and actually meet up and try to take atoms or electrons from them. And so there's a healthy cell, but then there's the free radicals, and what they do is they want to steal from them and make them, and then they would become oxidative cells. So then it just continues the whole process of oxidizing our cells and creating more inflammation. So many factors can produce these free radicals. Like I said, there's the ultraviolet rays, smoking, pollution, acidic foods, foods high in sugar, saturated fats, and stress. So through a combination of diet, lifestyle, and supplements, we can reduce this, hopefully. So toxins, as we know, are ubiquitous, right? They're still finding DDT, which hasn't been used since when? The 50s, 60s. They're still finding it drudging up on the floors of the ocean, and things are just everywhere now. There's no truly pure place anymore, unfortunately. So they're all around us, but we can do things to reduce them, eliminate, protect ourselves. You're going to get them usually from the heavy metals, liver, as like I was saying with your foods, byproducts of breaking down can create toxins, microbial from your body again, and metabolic. So inflammation can come from a variety of places. The triggers can be your SAD, standard American diet, which I'll get more into, that are high in omega-3s, like your corn oils, the oils that are, a lot of the oils that are used in your cooking, eating out that we don't realize and know what they are. Injury, allergy, infection, and your body creates these to help with the natural healing process. Things that will also contribute to inflammation: overweight puts extra pressure on the joints. Again, what I said, I'll get more into each of these, the type of fasts. The food allergies, there are things that actually put an extra burden on the body a little bit more. A lot of them are gluten, which is in wheat, barley, and rye. I find a lot of people, when they get off of that, are mostly off of that in particular over any of the other ones, that one lessens the burden of inflammation in the body, because gluten is actually, what it means in Latin is glue, and it's a hard to digest protein, and they're making the grains now more and more higher in gluten. So what it does is it creates an irritant in the body, and then the body starts to try to break it down and attack it, and it creates even more inflammation. So a lot of times people go gluten-free with these inflammatory issues, and they find that that helps to alleviate some of the problems. As well as dairy, sugar. They found that, the Mayo Clinic found that when you ingested sugar, within 2 hours after that, your immune system continued to be depressed. So, again, I'm not saying to be a purist about this, but to realize that these are all going to be affecting you. Citrus and the nightshades, and again, I'll get into why of these in a little bit. So we're all, yes.
Can you explain what the nightshades are?
That's going to be, yeah, I have it, yeah, thank you, in a few slides. So inflammation overload is what we're in right now, dealing with a ton of it coming at us from all different areas. All right, good, thank you. So pro or anti, we would rather be anti-inflammatory. So pro, and again I get into this in the next couple slides after, arachidonic acid stimulates the leukotrienes, thromboxane, the prostaglandins, which increases blood clotting, pain, constricts blood vessels. Anti-inflammatories, which is your EPA, DHA, GLAs, they improve circulation, decrease pain, relax blood vessels. So this is the pro-inflammatory cascade. So these are your omega-6 fats. Now, not all the omega-6s create inflammation. So flax would be in here. Flax is an omega-6. Chia seeds is an omega-3, 6, and 9. Flax is a 3, 6, and 9 as well. Not all these will stimulate this in this way, but these in particular will do that. They will create inflammation in the body. Arachidonic acid stimulates the whole inflammatory cascade, increasing the prostaglandins and leukotrienes, which are inflammatory markers in the body. Anti-inflammatories are your omega-3s. So like I was saying, flaxseed, hemp seed, fish, chia, and on down, this is the whole conversion process into EPA, and then thus converted to DHA, okay? And this is creating the whole anti-inflammatory aspect. So don't you want to feel great as long as you can? Yes, I think we all want to wake up and feel great and not be in pain and live a long, healthy life as long as possible. So how can we do this? And that's where I go into a lot of the supplemental and dietary aspects of it. So alkalizing. Has anybody heard of alkalizing and what that means? Okay. In an acidic environment, it creates more inflammation. So we have test strips out there that you can check if you'd like to, pH test strips. You can check your saliva or the urine, and it tells on there, it gives you the coloring that you can see whether it's acidic or neutral or alkaline. And some people do it before meals, some do it after meals, but I work with people on how to do this, and I'll get into that in the next few slides. So you can check your pH levels. They recommend doing it first thing in the morning especially. So what is pH? It's potential of hydrogen. It's the measure of the acidity or alkalinity. And 7 is neutral. The lower the number towards 0, it's more acidic, so you don't want that. And the higher the number is more towards 14, and you want to have that. That's more alkaline. So the normal pH of all tissues, except for the stomach, is slightly alkaline over 7. So if you are acidic, here's a few things that you want to do, and you want to reduce as much as possible or avoid limits, whatever you can. The hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils, these are the trans fats. Even if you take something such as olive oil, which is a very good fat to start out with, then if you cook it at a high temperature point beyond its limit, which was, I think it's 325, 350, something like that. If you get it to the point where it hits its smoke point and it starts billowing smoke, that means it's turning it into a trans fat. So it originally started out as a good fat, and it's flipped it over into a non-beneficial fat. And trans fats, I've heard, and I don't know about the studies backing it, but I've heard that it takes about 7 years to try to get trans fats out of your body. Your body just doesn't know how to deal with this chemical structure, so what it does is it stores it in fat cells or in liver cells to protect itself, and eventually we try to detoxify and get it out of our body. So we want to eliminate this as much as possible. And thankfully, the labeling, the food labeling now, has supported us in trying to figure out how to put that on the food labels. But it's a little bit deceiving too, because you could read it and it says trans fat 0, but if you then go down to read ingredients, that's where you might see partially or hydrogenated still, and you think, how could it say 0 and then have that on there? Well, they actually said that you can allow 0.5 grams per serving and not have to label it as having any. So say you eat 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, and then before you know it, you've got a bunch of trans fats, but it says 0, but it's not 0 if it says it's got trans fats in there. So some other things, artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners, preservatives, the hormones in meat and dairy. I mean, this is stuff just in general I tell people not to have as much as possible. Limiting white refined sugar and flour products, and limiting alcohol and caffeine. So, if you are acidic, there is this, has anybody seen the acid alkaline chart by Dr. Russell Jaffe? Anybody? Yeah. So I have those, and if you're interested in that, we also have them. Do we have them at the desk, too, that you can hand out in the files? The acid alkaline charts? Okay. Yeah. Well, if not, I mean, yeah, we usually have the charts, as I recall, but I could also give them to you. They have a strip in the middle called the different food categories, and then one side is all, it goes from most alkaline to least alkaline, least acidic to most acidic. And then what we do is we usually recommend for people for each meal to pick in a 3-to-1 ratio. So basically I tell people, go to the 1, which is the acidic side. You pick 1 acidic food, and for every 1, you have to offset it with 3 alkaline foods. Now when you look at the chart, the majority of the standard American diet is on which side? Acidic side. Yeah, so when you look at the grains, you look at the dairies, you look at the any of the meats, poultry, whatnot, it's almost all on the acidic side. So if you want to have anything, say for instance for breakfast, an egg, that's low acid. Then you take it over to the left side and you say, all right, I'm going to have some, maybe you're making like a frittata or something, and have some broccoli with it and some asparagus in there, and then you're going to have some green tea with it. That's your 3-to-1 ratio to try to offset that, okay? So you can test it, again, through the strips if you want to, but some people just know, they feel a difference. Some of the bigger things more so, like I said, are the gluten, the dairy, sugar, which I'm going to get into, the nightshades, things like that. Yes? It's very alkaline. When you look at vinegar, white vinegar, it's exceptionally acidic. Apple cider from the apples is not. So, I know, yeah. It's not though, yeah. It's not. Just like, right. Regardless, yeah, yep. Right, exactly. It's got the mother in there as well. But also you would think that lemons, limes would be acidic. They're not. They're alkalizing on the body. So, yeah. So increasing your intake of vegetables, almonds, apple cider vinegar, lemon is also very detoxifying on your liver too. So some people do that as a constant liver detox in warm water in the morning. Green tea is a very big antioxidant. There are studies all over the place with that. And cancer, the cancer institutes are now actually using that as part of their protocol for in place of chemos and other, depending on what type. I know that the Mayo Clinic was using this. So again, incorporating more of these in your diet to offset the acidic side. Increase mineral-rich foods. Calcium and magnesium help keep inflammation at bay, and mineral-rich foods are high in antioxidant and very alkaline, such as the almonds, kale, parsley, a lot of the legumes. Okay, so here is the nightshades. Foods that inhibit mineral absorption. So like I was just saying, calcium, magnesium, very important. Solanine, which is in these nightshades, is a calcium inhibitor. So the nightshade family includes potatoes, bell peppers, tomatoes, eggplants, and then there's a few others too. So these are ones that some people find a benefit if they cut them out, some don't. You can do a trial and error where you could take things out for, excuse me, a week or more. Doris Rapp, who's a doctor for allergies, usually tells people to take things out for a week and then add it in on the 8th day to see if there's any kind of reaction. Some people we say, take it out for a month, see how you feel. Some people take it out for 2-3 months, see how they feel. I've had some people have a benefit with this and some not so. So it's like Genoa was saying, everybody's different. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's genetics is different. So you have to go by what's going on within you. Oxalic acid is a calcium inhibitor too, and that's found in rhubarb, cranberries, plums, spinach, Swiss chard. So those are things that you would want to limit. Also limit your caffeine and sugar because they also inhibit mineral absorption. Because again, it creates such an acidic environment, your body wants to alkalize, so it takes calcium from the bones to try to offset the acidity in the bloodstream. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. I would have to look at the chart because some things you would think, such as tomato sauce, and then tomatoes, differences of the acidity. So I would check on that one. Juices recommended for arthritis. This was from a juicing book that I have. These were the ones that were the top ones recommended for arthritis. Kale is good for everything. Carrots too. Cucumber is really great. Good for the spleen too. Wheatgrass, that's another top one that's great across the board. And we have these again in drinks too, in mixtures of greens drinks as well. I have one in particular I like out there. It's by Trace Minerals. It's a greens pack, and I actually love it. Because I love to eat my greens, but I'm not one who likes to drink a lot of my greens, except for some of the smoothies out here I really like. But when you're doing the powders, I don't tend to like that very much. But this one in particular, it tastes more berry-like, so I just put it in the water and drink it down. I love it. Also, we already talked about the antioxidants. The cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cabbage, cauliflower, very beneficial. Also great for detoxifying the liver. So again, this all comes into play. Your liver is your #1 detoxifying organ. So everything is going through there. I think it was a pint a minute or more that the blood is going through there to be detoxified. So it's very important to keep that liver cleansed and working properly. And a lot of things in the environment and what we eat will gunk it up and slow it down. So you want to have as much as you can dietarily to keep it cleansed. You can steaming them is okay. Steaming them is all right. Juicing them is good too. And however, if you cook them, it does lose its benefits. You also have to be careful with eating too much of these for someone that might have a thyroid issue. You don't want to have a lot of these in abundance because that'll slow down the thyroid more. So there are exceptions to these, but getting those in as much as possible would be beneficial. Different herbs, ginger, turmeric, parsley, cayenne, rosemary. These also are detoxifiers for the liver. So you see the connection here? It's all connecting. Whole grains, quinoa, brown rice, millet, amaranth, steel-cut oats. These are all, what kind of grains? Gluten-free grains? Whole grains, yep, gluten-free. And fruits, high in antioxidants, watermelon, grapefruit, mangoes, melons, grapes, kiwi, blueberries, apples. Again, I would stress most of this to be as organic as possible because the less pesticides on them, the less disruption in your immune system, the less irritation and inflammation that's going on. Out of all those studies that they just had about whether it's beneficial to do organic or not, and they said, oh, you know, everything that we've looked at, we compiled them all together and said it's really not that much of a benefit other than the pesticides are less. Well, hello. That to me is a big thing, a big difference, a huge difference. You want to lessen that as much as possible. And apples and strawberries are like the number 1 and 2 pesticide laden. And can you wash them off? No, you cannot, because it's through the entire growing process. Can you peel them off? No, you can't. It's throughout the whole thing. What's that? It's organic ones. Yeah. Things that are out there that are high in acai, goji, mangosteen, green tea. We already talked about. There's a lot of juices, combinations, powders out there. However you can get it, just try to get it into your diet. So if you can't get it through the foods enough, and this reduction and the proper sleep, we need to get some supplementation. So essential fatty acids, which is oil, flax oil, borage oil, these all help out, and a lot of people are confused because it's not just like, oh, well, we go towards the fish oil. Now if you look, not the fish oil, it's like some have added vitamin D, some have they have CoQ10 added in, some are high EPA, some are high DHA, some are added in with borage. Some have, how do you figure the differences between them? What one do you want to go towards? Well, that's what people like myself and Noah are there for, to help you discern between them. Now typically, this standard American diet is low in omega-3s, which is what you find from the fish oil or the flax oil, chia, wood, hemp, things like that. So those are the ones we really want to make sure that we get into diet. Because what happens is when you get too many of the trans fats or the others, the cell membranes, all of the cell membranes in our body are made of a bilipid layer, and lipid is fat, right? So we need to have good fats. And if the cells have the bad fats that we get from that are hydrogenated and otherwise, they get stiffer, they get stickier, and the nutrients won't flow in and out nicely. So you want to displace those types of fats with the beneficial ones, hopefully, and then make sure that these cells are nice and fluid so the nutrients can flow in and out as we need them. So you can have the choice of a fish oil or flax oil if you don't want to have fish. It's a vegetarian, vegan option. The benefit of the flax also is it has an estrogenic benefit added to it, whereas the EPA does not, or the fish oil does not. Borage oil also is another one that's used for a lot of psoriasis, eczema, skin issues, rheumatoid arthritis, because it has high GLA, which is gamma-linolenic acid. It's very anti-inflammatory. So this is one that you could use in high amounts as well. Or we have some that out there that have a combination thereof that have high EPA in there, which is anti-inflammatory. DHA is more so for the brain, the eyes, women that are pregnant, for the developing fetus in the brain, for mood disorders, ADD, autism, things like that. So you would want EPA, although I have seen some significant studies with high EPA for bipolar and depression issues as well. So because as you saw in that one slide, EPA converts right into DHA, so your body will convert it to what it needs. So some products that Genoa and I were thinking about as far as arthritis, there's a lot of them out there and a lot of different things that you can choose from. This one, Celadrin, I've seen some really significant studies on. They actually did studies with animal dogs as well as with humans. And they looked at range of motility and flexibility. And there's a cream as well as a pill. And these are esterified fatty acids. So it doesn't react with oxygen. This gets absorbed, they're finding, sometimes even better than fish oils and other oils. I actually took my dog to the vet, and they have arthritis. And I asked her I said, well, I use fish oil. And she said, well, there's this esterified fatty acid. I said, oh, my gosh, we have one of those at the store. I said, I'm just going to start using that one. I also give my dog Zyflamend, if anybody knows about that product. It's a great one that has a lot of anti-inflammatory herbs in there as well, and that works well. So there's this. Again, I like it because there's been human studies done on this, and there's been they've seen definite changes in range of motion, motility, pain, significant. When they used the cream and the pill together, it was even more so. Genicol is a newer one that we brought on last year. This one actually is a collagen product. It's a hydrolyzed bovine collagen. What they were saying in their brochure is that why would you want to do something like glucosamine, because only 1% of the cartilage in the body is comprised of glucosamine and 67% of it is collagen. And there's also a tremendous amount of other benefits with the collagen, with the skin and whatnot too. So this is one that I have recommended to a lot of people as well, and seeing great benefits for a variety of different things. Minerals. These, again, our body is made of 70% mineral water, so it's very important to get enough minerals, and that was one of the things, too, with organic versus non. There were big differences in the mineral contents, as well as vitamin C. So magnesium is important in over 325 enzymatic processes in the body. It relaxes all smooth muscles, helps with pain, sleep, bowels, inflammation, on and on. So we have it in a lot of different forms. You can do it in a pill form or drink. A lot of people like the Magnesium Plus Ionic Fizz. It's a nice drink. It tastes nice, and you can have that in place of a pill. And that also, like I said, would help sleep. If you have trouble sleeping at nighttime, it helps just relax the brain, relax the smooth muscles. You have to be careful with too much magnesium. If your bowels are going every day, you're very regular, this can move it along even more so. So you have to be careful and find your own level of magnesium. Typically we start out at 300 milligrams and then go from there. Oh yeah, typically it's about 300 milligrams if you can. I've had some people come in with bowel issues that I brought them up to 1,000 and it did nothing. Then I figured out, okay, this is not moving it. We got to look at something else. We went into fish oils at higher doses, and that was the trick for her. So what she came in particular was for that, and that's what I started her with, was magnesium, but hers was more of an oil issue. And they're both, yeah, both. It would be the EPA and magnesium too. But start out at around 300 milligrams at nighttime. See how you do. That too is something, it does interfere with a few medications, and I can't think of what they are, but only to the fact that it says take it about 2 hours away from the medication. So these are things that I can check on too, or even at the desk they check on that and let you know. There's the trace minerals as well. Zyflamend, as I mentioned a little while ago, this is a great one. It's had a bunch of research done on it. They're actually doing research looking at it with cancer, and Dr. Katz, who works with prostate cancer and otherwise uses it, recommends it. And I'm not saying I'm not touting this for that. I'm just saying there is research on these herbs specifically for that and for a whole slew of other issues because of the antioxidants and because of how it works in the liver for detoxifying. So this one has turmeric, ginger, oregano, green tea, holy basil, rosemary, and skullcap. And these create a healthy inflammatory response. This one is a concentrated oil, so you have to make sure that you take it with a full meal. Otherwise, you're going to be burping up oregano and ginger and turmeric. So this one, too, is another one that you have to make sure it doesn't interact with any medications that you might be on. Mariva is one of the turmerics that we have out there. We have turmeric force. We have, I don't know, there's a bunch of other ones out there, too. But Mariva is one that I've seen that it's specifically bound to Phosphatidyl Serine, which is part of the cell membrane, so it gets incorporated into the cells very quickly. So there's been a lot of research done on this one in particular, and we've had great benefits. Sometimes we use up to 6 a day. That one you have to specifically ask for, which is kept in the back, because it's a practitioner line. So that's one that usually Carol or myself recommend to people. So that's because it's got the curcumin, the turmeric in there. The cayenne and boswellia, these are also known as very anti-inflammatory. There's cool cayenne out there that doesn't cause any heat issues. The boswellia is great. There's combination formulas out there. There's one called Inflamarest, and some have combinations of fish oils with all those. It just depends on how many you want to take, what you're already taking, medications that may interact with. That's how you figure out what would be the best ones for you. Cat's claw, too. This stimulates the immune system, relaxes smooth muscles, dilates blood vessels, is a diuretic as well as antioxidant. And I've seen some studies used for osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis to reduce pain and inflammation. And devil's claw, I don't know as if we have any of this. I tried to see if there was any. I think we might have had a tincture of it. But this one I found, mostly it came up for back pain. It seems to help lessen low back pain. And they were comparing it to, or with people that were taking non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. It said they needed less of those when they were taking this along with that. So that's another option. Yes? Oh, yeah, that they're being infected with, they were infected with. What's that? Are they all the same? I don't know much about what ones they're using or what it's been infected with. Right. It was a fungal? Okay. Proteolytic enzymes. Bromelain is one. It's derived usually from pineapple. Studies show that this inhibits the pro-inflammatory prostaglandins while increasing the favorable ones, so helping with the anti-inflammatory while decreasing the inflammation. Quercetin is usually found in onions, apples, and other vegetables. Helps with inflammation. There are products that you can get bromelain by itself, quercetin together. This is something usually you take between meals, because if you take them with meals, then they will help digest the food, basically. And so you don't want to do that. You want to attack the inflammation, so you would have them between meals to attack the inflammation specifically. We have another product called Ultra Inflazyme Forte out there, as well as Wobenzyme, which probably people have heard of. That's a well-researched, studied one that has plant-based enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, and antioxidants in there. So there's also glucosamine chondroitin. Some people find that this works very well for them. Some take them by themselves, some take them in combination, some take them with MSM in there. This actually can help out with the cartilage and also the connective tissue in the joint. So I find that a lot of people take this along with fish oils and some other things too to help out with the anti-inflammatory response. Shark or cow from the chondroitin. Yeah, it would be like, supercritical antioxidants, that's one of the formulas we have out there. Again, I've been stressing the importance of antioxidants for the anti-inflammatory because of what oxidants do on the bodies and the cells. This one in particular contains rosemary, ginger, clove, green tea, and turmeric. So I think you're finding a theme along here with some of the things. They're really good to get in. Like I said, if you can get them into your diet, that's great. If not, I drink green tea when I'm here every day, a couple cups of that. Prior, did I used to? No, but I started changing over into that. I'm not a coffee drinker, so coffee's very acidic very acidic. It's like the most acidic. So if you want to switch over to something, you can try Ticino, which is a coffee substitute, or green tea. So there are different options. Again, spices you can add to your diet. There's a lot of different ways to get in there. Also, we can't discount a little bit of what Genoa talked about with stress. Okay, there's stress out there. 90% of the doctor's visits typically per year are dealing with stress. Now, the stress cascade creates a pro-inflammatory effect, basically. What all this is saying is, typically there's some kind of reaction in the body. Whether you get a headache, a backache, a stomach ache, there's some response to the body when you have a lot of stress. And you're not thinking about it typically, but this is how it manifests. The brain in the hypothalamus signals the pituitary, which increases ACTH hormone, which secretes or signals the adrenals, which are small little glands that sit on top of the kidneys that produce over 28 different hormones in the body. Your fight or flight, your sleeping, your happy hormones, which is serotonin, sleeping hormone, melatonin. So basically, they increase the amount of cortisol and cortisone, and they inhibit white blood cells, suppress the immune system. This is all necessary for an initial shock situation or to help the body for the moment. But if this is something that is carried on for days, to weeks, to months, to years, that's where the whole pro-inflammatory continues, and that degrades on the body over time. A lot of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia goes back to this, okay? Because the body excretes amino acids and many minerals and electrolytes, and it can't keep up quick enough. It's like, oh gosh, I'm trying, calm down, I'm trying, and then it starts siphoning off all the reserves from anywhere in the body, and it just can't keep up. And you can't keep up enough, especially if you're not eating well. You know when you're stressed, do you typically eat really well when you're stressed or depressed? No. So you're not supporting it with that. Are you taking all your supplements and doing all your exercise when you're stressed usually? No, typically people don't. We should go to those things, but we don't always go to those things. So there's the three phases, the alarm, acute, and chronic. The alarm, the body prepares for stress. It secretes extra hormones, and hopefully the adrenals quiet down after that, but not always the case. So long periods, they increase in size. As I was saying, the energy and the nutrients are drawn from the body's reserves, and the body weakens over time. The anti-stress mechanisms are now gone in the chronic phase, and there's nothing left. The body's just kind of sapped. It says, forget it, I got nothing more to give to you. So fatigue, chronic tiredness results. What can we do? Some of the things we can do is the stress reduction, listening to music, going for a walk, meditate, prayer, deep breathing. Some people I know, we were talking about for nighttime, if you're going to bed and there's a lot of pain, they do progressive muscle relaxation, where you would tighten up like the muscles in your neck for a little while, and then you would relax them. And then you would tighten up your shoulders and then relax. So you're kind of going down the body, and it just continuously relaxes the body. Or the deep breathing, that one's fabulous, because on top of the fact that it's just excreting out all these extra chemicals, and it's regulating these hormones, and it's just wonderful for so many things, for detoxification and everything. So you can't go wrong with the whole deep breathing. And massage, and a whole bunch of other things up there you can try. Exercise, again, there's a lot of lifestyle exercise you can do to make to get it in throughout the day. Take a walk during lunch break, take upstairs instead of elevator, park further out. A lot of things, you know, walking the dog. We need to have daily exercise. It helps with the organs, the circulatory system, lymph system, which is your garbage collection system, muscles, bones, hormone balancing. So try to get in a variety of cardiovascular, strength training, and stretching, all very important for the reasons why what Genoa talked about. The sleep connection. Sleep is very, very important. If we don't get enough sleep, how do you feel typically in the morning when you wake up and you're going to eat the best breakfast in the world when you feel terrible? Typically you go for what? Coffee and a donut, which is carbohydrates and sugar. And then you go up, and then what happens? Crash. And then you go for a bagel, you go up, and then you crash, okay? It's like, and I've been there too myself. I remember going, and and this is what some of my clients do years. That's how they've eaten. One client I had who's only, and he has rheumatoid arthritis, a slew of other things, and strictly for 7 years. And I said, oh my gosh, you saw the guy that for that 1 month with, and how bad it was, and this guy ate for 7 years. And so we're definitely doing something hard, because he's constantly coming. All of a sudden he had this weird infection coming out in him, and I said, so we're trying to backtrack and detox and help him out. I know, again, I've been there, and you feel after that day of eating that way, how do you feel? Do you feel better? You don't feel better. Temporarily, when you eat it for that short stint, you feel better, and then you feel low and tired. Then you go for something else. And it's just this ride, and your emotions go along with that. So sleep disorders have been linked to many chronic heart disease, stroke, depression, diabetes. So other things that we can do for stress or helping dealing with arthritis: chiropractic, massage, Tai Chi, acupressure, acupuncture, reflexology. All these things are great in combination. We need the fundamentals. The fundamentals are balanced eating, regular activity, supplementation, sleep, stress management. Why do we need vitamins? Our soils are really depleted in a lot of nutrients now. They typically just do nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium in there when they replete the soils. They don't do a lot of the crop rotation anymore, because it's this big pharma crops now. So we need to have something as a general coverage. There's a lot of ones out there, and I'm not going to get into all of them, but that's where we can help you out there. There's one-a-days, there's whole foods. Depending on where you are and what you want and what you need is what we would put you towards. Essential fatty acids, I've already gone through those, how important they are. They're a part of all of our cell membranes. Really? Oh, I haven't had people say that. But everybody's different. I don't know, getting in more nutrients, maybe the body's just feeling more energized. I don't know. As far as gaining weight, though, I don't. Interesting. I don't know. I haven't. Yep. Which again, yeah, I stress nutrient-dense foods over empty calories too. But I don't know. That's interesting. I've never. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's a whole food one. A lot of people tend to do well with those. They're low doses and absorb very well. So, the essential fatty acids lube the joints, help with hormonal imbalances. They help lower triglycerides, cholesterol, reduce blood pressure, anti-inflammatories, the arthritis, eczema, psoriasis, lupus, on and on. The vision and learning. Again, we went through all the different types. Probiotics, very important too, ties into the immune system, helps detoxify estrogens, helps metabolize cholesterol, helps produce serotonin, your happy hormone, helps with constipation and or diarrhea. And if you've taken a lot of antibiotics or had a lot of steroids for shots or whatnot, or had a lot of fluoridated water, swim in a lot of water, you're going to deplete all that in the body. So typically you should have something like, if you don't want to take a pill, the Greek yogurts, we have powders. Again, there's a whole variety of different ones out there that we can point you towards the best one for you. These are all just the different strains, which I don't really need to go into. There's water. Yes. You know, now they're taking them out, but they did have them in there because it was actually specific food to help feed the probiotics to grow. So there was this train of thinking that you need them in there because it specifically helps them to grow and then they can take over. Is it necessary? I don't think it's necessary. Not a lot of them have it in it, and some, like I said, are now taking them out for different reasons. So I don't think it's necessary to have that in there for all of them. What was your other question? Right, yeah. You can eat the cultured foods. That's definitely a benefit, too. I don't know if it's more because I don't know how many. These are measured by CEU, colony forming units, CFUs. I don't know how much you get from that. I've never actually looked at the amount. Same as like when you're looking at yogurts. There are differences when you're looking at a regular one with like the fruit on the bottom that might not have a lot in there versus the ones that are the Greek yogurts that seem to have a few more strains in there and less sugars and whatnot. So it varies, but that's definitely a great way to get it in as well. Definitely. Yep. Some people just do that strictly and don't even bother with this. Oh yeah. Unless there's some specific issue that you have, like H. pylori or some real issue that we need to get flood yourself with it, we would, do that maybe in combination with those types of foods. Right, exactly. Yep, exactly. Water, how important is water? Like I said, 70% of the body is mineral water. It helps eliminate toxins, helps with weight loss, because when you don't have enough water inside the cells, there's too much outside, the toxins will just stay within the cells, so this helps to pull them out, helps prevent muscle and joint pain. Bloating and constipation, helps preventing headaches. I've had a couple clients come in and that was the issue. They weren't drinking enough water. Maintains healthy skin. Another good way to get that in, again, is your teas. Now, coffee and beverages that have a lot of caffeine, that's a diuretic. So it's like you have to do 2 glasses of water to offset that 1 cup of coffee. So you have to do more of it. If you said, I'm a diehard on that 1 cup of coffee, all right, well, then you've got to have 2 for that 1 cup. And 1 cup is an 8 ounce. It's not a mug like this. Because I have people telling me I drink coffee. I say, how big is that? Because they'll say, yeah, it's kind of like a pot. Or, okay, that's a lot. Supplements for stress, magnesium. As I already mentioned how important that is, and you can get it through your nuts and avocados and black beans, very high in magnesium. Vitamin C with bioflavonoids, especially this time of year. Now we want to bump up on our vitamin C with all the colds that are going around now. But vitamin C is consumed tremendously by the adrenal glands. So if you're under a lot of stress, you're going to be upsetting your entire endocrine immune system, okay? Because your body's thinking, I got to run. I don't need to eat. I don't need to digest. I don't need to do anything else. I just need to run away. And that's what it's always thinking, run. And how many of us are just running away? We're usually sitting in traffic, stressing, on the computer, stressing, on the phone, stressing, dealing with family issues, stressing. We're usually not exercising it off or deep breathing it out. We have a lot of different ones too. There's the buffered, typically with the bioflavonoids, is a really good one. Depending on, some people want the non-corn form. We have some that are tapioca based, but typically the ones with the whole food, probably with some bioflavonoids in there. Which, yep, we do. Do we still have the Nature's Way vitamin C powder that we had? It was called, I'm not sure if we still have that one, but it was a whole food one. I'm sure we have some out there, because we have at least 4 different companies that have whole food. Other options for stress, theanine, found in green tea, helps with the alpha, theta, beta waves in the brain. It helps with relaxation. It doesn't give a drowsy effect. It just helps. And I've heard Carol say that if you have a cup of decaf green tea with this at nighttime, that it would help to sleep. Phosphatidyl serine is a phospholipid. Again, that's dealing with the cell membrane. It protects against stress, and it actually decreases cortisol. I had one practitioner, one doctor, recommend that someone come in and get phosphatidyl serine to decrease their cortisol levels, which I'd never seen before. It was actually written out on a script to get that in a certain amount. And I said, oh, that's great. Adaptogens, these are these are herbs, roots, whatnot, that actually help the body and the adrenals. These adaptogens typically are found to live in harsh environments, so they can survive and adapt when whatever the environment throws at them. With the high winds or high heat, high cold temperatures, they'll survive. So in the body, that's what it does to us. It regulates whatever hormones need to come up and whatever ones need to come down. Typically, cortisol needs to come down. Ashwagandha is a great one. Holy basil is one that I can't tell you how many clients on that one. It's a fabulous one. And we have combination ones like Gaia has an adrenal health formula that has holy basil, ashwagandha, I think rhodiola, some other things in there. You can do rhodiola itself. That's another good one. Relora is one that they found that helps with improving sleep as well as helping with sweet cravings. They started to give it to people for relaxation, but they found that those that were stress eaters, it helped decrease the stress eating as well. So that's made from philodendron and magnolia extracts. There's passion flower, GABA. It has GABA effects, but GABA is another one that you can take too for relaxation. It doesn't cause the drowsiness at all. It just takes that edge off and helps you just kind of calm. Homeopathics, there are some of them out there for stress. Sleep aids, again, magnesium we've seen throughout to help with anti-inflammatory stress otherwise. GABA Calm is a sublingual under the tongue. If your brain is on fire all the time and you just can't calm down because you're thinking about lists and all that, that's one that I swear I've tried it many times. That works very well. You're just kind of sitting there and all of a sudden your brain just starts slowly shutting down and helps you. You can also use it during the day too. And then there's a variety of other formulas out there, and we gear it towards whatever is going on. If it's stress-related, we would go towards a formula that was stress. If it was hormonally related, then we'd go over here towards hormones and not towards a sleep formula. So, okay. So these are some books that Genoa and I had found and recommend that are out there. Get a Grip on Arthritis, Lorna Vanderhaeg, The Arthritis Help Book by Kate Lorig, Conquering Arthritis by Barbara Allen, How to Eat Away Arthritis, Stress, Anxiety, and Insomnia, Adrenal Fatigue, because this, again, all ties into everything that's going on in the body. Websites, the Arthritis Foundation, Cure Arthritis, Dr. Murray, he has a lot of stuff on a lot of issues, but you can read up on arthritis there. Treating and Beating, that's dealing with the stress-related aspect of it, because when your pain factor is high, stress is going to be high, and then you don't sleep well, and then when you don't sleep well, the pain factor goes up, and it's this whole vicious circle that just keeps going and going and going. You don't sleep well, you don't feel well, you're in more pain, then you're more stressed, and it just keeps going. So we got to stop that circle somewhere and start backtracking it to try to help relieve that. Okay, live a life in a way that improves your health. All right.